Martha Wainwright, welcome to Australian Musician.
Hi.
You'll be back in Australia in less than a week. Are you good at packing for a tour?
You're j you're making me very nervous. Well, I've been thinking about it. I've been, sort of in the morning with my coffee lying in bed going, should I take? And how many bags? And, I'm bringing over some merch and I have to, how many guitars? And so we'll see if I'm good at packing, but I usually either overpack or underpack. I'm going to try and get it just right for this tour.
Yeah. Well, what's the overriding feeling before a tour? Is it excitement, or are you nervous, or a mixture of both?
Well, this one's interesting. It's different because I'm coming to Australia. It's been a long time. It's been 6 years or something. And before that, I used to come pretty often. Australia has been a really big part of my career. So I feel out of practice, with you guys. And I put out this last record 3 years ago almost, about 2.5 years ago, and toured it a bunch. And now I haven't been working a lot. I've been home a lot with the kids and starting a new record and things like that. So I'm kind of starting the engine up again to come out, to come down to you. And so I'm a little nervous, but I think it's going to be okay. And today I was practicing and making sure that I remembered how to play everything. And um, I had this dread. It's like, oh my God, is no one going to come, or is it going to be terrible, or are the hotels going to be terrible? Is it going to be? And then I thought, well, no, it's not going to be. It's going to be great, and I'm really excited and very happy.
Yeah. And you're bringing a band with you this time?
I'm bringing a bunch of musicians. And we're coming from different places. One of them is arriving. They're all from Montreal, but they're on different various tours themselves. So we'll gather around and we'll have some long sound checks as sort of practices. But these guys are like super amazing, and we've played a lot together in the past. So I'm sure that once we get in the room and run the songs, it'll all sort of come back to us.
Yeah. Do you find that your songs change and develop the more you play them live?
Absolutely. The um I write the songs by myself on the guitar, so that's always how the songs start, and I can play them by myself. And then the records, I add stuff and musicians and try different things out, and then generally go out on the road with musicians, but sometimes I'm playing solo or just duo, or with a bass player, or just with a drummer. So there's no real way that each song is done every time. And that what that means is that very quickly they evolve and they change, and the tempos change. And um as I'm going through playing them, they really evolve. And especially now that I've been doing this for almost 30 years, and some of these songs, were written almost 30 years ago, and I still sing them. They stay with me and they still matter. But of course, the whole circumstances have changed around them. And that's really amazing.
Yeah. Love Will Be Reborn was released in 2019, so Australians haven't heard the album live. Will the set list focus on that album?
Yes, because you guys haven't heard it live. So there'll be a bunch of songs from that record, but then we'll also um do some songs from the first record. And I'll read a little bit from my book, which came out 2 years ago. And the book references songs that are on the bonus release of Love Will Be Reborn, and there's songs of my song of my brothers, song of my dad, song of my mom's, and so we'll touch on that too, because those are really songs that sort of defined my life that other people wrote, and so I would like to do some of those.
Yeah, I just finished the audiobook this week. Stories I might regret telling you in 2022. In the epilogue, you say that you don't regret telling the stories. I assume that thought hasn't changed.
No, not at all. The book touches on, let me turn that off. Sorry. The book touches on taboo subjects, which I have never really been afraid to talk about in my songs either. And, I think, they are the stories and the things that happened in my life that sort of define me as a person. And, but also there are things that I think many people go through, families go through, maybe women in particular, there's, I talk about abortion and divorce and drugs and alcohol and death and children, and these are things that touch many of our lives, and I feel it's good to be open about it. And I think that the overall response has been really positive, and people appreciate that and appreciate that open conversation.
Yeah, I can't think of another musical family whose lives have been documented so openly in song as your family. How do you feel about your sons getting to the age where they're listening to the family's back catalogue and asking what the songs are about?
Well, hopefully I've hit a sweet spot where when they were younger and I was writing some of these songs, they didn't really understand some of what I was saying. Although I have been very careful. In the past I was not careful necessarily to protect anybody, especially when writing songs in my 20s and 30s. I was like, I don't. It's not my responsibility to be careful. Um, but then, of course, when I had children, that changed completely. And especially in the context of a difficult divorce and separation from their father, you really have to be much more careful. And that was the first time that I was ever confronted with really editing myself, and for good reason. That being said, I also felt as an artist and as a person and as a woman, I needed to be able to say certain things that needed to be said. And I think I hope that I might have I've been able to accomplish that. And when I wrote some of these songs that are on this last record, the children were quite young and they might not have um, understood maybe everything I was talking about. And now they are coming into their teenage years, and so they really don't care. They don't listen to me at all, and they're not really considering, and weighing everything that I say. Um, but when I was a teenager, um, especially with my father's music. My father's a great songwriter named Loudon Wainwright III, and maybe because I didn't grow up with him, I was very interested in his songwriting, and I really did listen to his lyrics. My mother, not as much until she was gone, and then I really checked in more. We sometimes we don't appreciate what we have when we have it. So all of that was hard as a young person and an adult, but important to do as well, and it's important to be able as an artist to say things.
How did you find the process of narrating the audiobook? Did it give you a different perspective, reading it out aloud?
It was hard. I had never done that, and it takes time. And I was really, it was so fresh. I don't know if that comes out in listening to it. I would never dare listen to myself reading it. It would be like a nightmare. But I was scheduled to do the audiobook, which generally takes about 5 or 6 days, reading 3 or 4 hours a day straight. Um, and I was scheduled to do it in December because the book was going to come out in something like February, whatever, because of the holidays. For whatever reason, that's how it happened. And the last edit was not complete yet. So as I was doing the audiobook, I was making changes, which I think is rare. I think most people read the audiobook once it's gone to print. For whatever reason, but the timing, it fell that I couldn't do that. I'm so sorry for that noise. I don't know how to turn that off. And so it was really interesting to have the chance to change a word here, a word there, and have it be so fresh. And it was almost like I did a final edit while doing that. And so it felt fresh to me. I hope it sounded fresh to the listener, and that it came off as okay. I found it emotional. I cried at certain points, and I was like, well, that's good. That's a good sign. Hopefully other people are going to cry when they read it. I enjoyed the emotionality of it. Maybe I was just tired and perimenopausal. I don't know.
Australia is mentioned quite a bit in the book.
Mm,
Seems that some of the trips have been quite significant for
yeah,
you. Sometimes injecting a much needed spark into your life. Sometimes significant for other reasons. Uh,
yeah,
what are you hoping to get out of this trip?
exactly. There is something about going there, coming to you. I imagine other people have said this too. Maybe because it's on the opposite side of the world, that something happens where it just turns your world around. And which makes you think, and it demands attention. And it's not a little thing, even though we have planes and we can get there pretty quickly. It's pretty amazing when you see that um, Southern Cross, and when things are that different, and um, big things happen whenever I've been there, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Late last year, you performed Justice Delivers Death as Sufjan Stevens' song
Yes.
on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, who was an old friend of yours. How did Rufus and yourself arrive at the decision to play that song, and how was the whole experience?
Right. It was my decision and my idea to sing that song. I love that song. We've been doing it for the last few years at all of our Christmas shows. Sufjan did the Christmas show. When I say our Christmas shows, pardon me, that's Rufus and I have a yearly or ish Christmas show, and we always in different cities, and we have had the opportunity to have incredible artists on all of them. And Sufjan has done the one in New York, maybe about, I don't know, maybe about 7 or 8 years ago. He's a friend of ours, a friend of mine. And I just always adored that song, and I adore his music. And then he had a tragic thing happen in his life, and his partner took his own life. And so my heart was with him, and I was thinking a lot about him. And so I wanted absolutely to do that song, and it's one of the few songs that Rufus and I do together in the Christmas show, because usually we're singing with, okay, you do a song with Emmylou, and I'll do a song with Sean Lennon, or you do a song with Renee Fleming and I'll do the song with, and so it was going to be that or Fairy Tale of New York, which we do together. And I was like, what, let's do Sufjan's song because I think it's the moment.
Yeah. Well, Martha, I think we've run out of time. It's been great to chat, and we look forward to seeing you down here very soon.
Yes, thank you.